I had a good time with Nosferatu, but this is one of those movies where I walked away thinking, man, this could have been so much better, not because the story is weak or the central performances don't work. The problem is that a movie this obsessed with death, sickness, and dread should have looked unforgettable, and too much of it felt like the production team got to good enough and stopped there. If you like movie reviews that don't sound like a press release, hit follow, because this is exactly the kind of movie I end up overthinking. The story itself is strong. Thomas Hutter travels to meet Count Orlok for what should be a simple real estate deal, only to realize he has walked into something evil. Meanwhile, his wife Ellen is already connected to Orlok in a way Thomas doesn't understand. From there, the movie grows from one creepy encounter into a plague hanging over Wisburg, with Ellen slowly realizing that whatever is happening is tied directly to her. That setup works, there is real tragedy in it. And that is what frustrated me. The core idea is not the issue. Orlok is not just a monster hiding in a castle. He is appetite, death, obsession, and this ugly thing Ellen called into her life long before Thomas knew what was happening. The scenes where she talks about feeling like she is not fully present, like something else has control over her, are some of the strongest parts of the movie. When Orlok confronts her and makes it clear that he is not love, he is hunger, the movie finally feels like it is digging into something genuinely disturbing. That relationship between Ellen and Orlok is the most interesting thing here. She is terrified of him, ashamed of the connection, disgusted by him, and still understands that he is tied to a part of herself she has spent years trying to bury. That gives the movie more weight than just vampire comes to town and kills people. Thomas works too because he gives the story a human point of view. He leaves because he wants a better life, gets completely outmatched by Orlok, and comes home carrying all of that fear with him. By the time he returns to Ellen, he is not the same confident guy who thought this trip was going to secure his future, but outside of those central characters, this is where the movie started losing me. A lot of the supporting roles felt like they were just there to move the story along. Professor Von Franz should be one of the most memorable people in the movie. On paper, he is talking about demons, the occult, old rituals, and basically telling everyone that modern science has made them blind to what is right in front of them. That should be electric. Instead, too often I felt like I was watching somebody deliver important information rather than somebody who completely belonged inside this world. Friedrich and Anna have material that should hit hard once the plague tears through their family. But I never felt the movie had done enough with them beforehand. The story tells me this tragedy matters. I wanted the performances to make me feel it more. And then we get to my biggest issue, the production design for a movie like Nosferatu. That should be half the experience. You have Orlok's castle, old estates, plague-filled streets, dark rooms, sick beds, ships, and a whole city slowly being swallowed by death. I should feel like every room has history in the walls. I should feel dirt, age, decay, disease, superstition, all of it. Instead, I kept noticing how much more the movie could have done. It does not look bad. That is what makes it frustrating. It looks fine. It looks competent. There are moments where the atmosphere works, but fine is not enough for Nosferatu. This is a story that lives or dies on atmosphere, and I kept waiting for the environment itself to become part of the horror. When Thomas reaches Orlok's world, I wanted the castle and everything around it to feel like he had stepped out of normal life and into a place that should not exist. When the plague reaches Wisburg, I wanted the city to feel physically transformed by it. When Ellen is being pulled toward Orlok, I wanted the spaces around her to feel like they were closing in. The script keeps talking about shadows, blood, death, disease, superstition, and things modern people refuse to believe. The production design should have been communicating all of that before anybody even opened their mouth. That is the missed opportunity for me. The movie had the ingredients for something unforgettable, but too often the world around the characters felt like a backdrop instead of a character. I do want to give the movie credit because I enjoyed watching it. The final stretch works much better for me because the story brings everything together. Ellen realizing what has to happen, Thomas being pulled away on a false hunt, and Orlok being unable to resist her fits the movie perfectly. It is tragic, disturbing, romantic in a twisted way, and it pays off the relationship the movie has been building from the beginning. The problem is that I kept imagining the version of this movie where every supporting performance is fully locked in and every location looks like somebody obsessed over every corner of the frame. That version could have been incredible. This movie did enough to keep me interested. It had a strong central idea, two main characters I cared about, and an ending that makes sense for the story it wants to tell. But the production design never reached the level this material deserved, and too many supporting roles felt phoned in. So yeah, I'm giving Nosferatu a 6 out of 10. Not because I had a bad time, I didn't. I had a good time, but a movie like this should leave you feeling like you just stepped out of a nightmare, and for me, it never fully got there. What did you think? Did the atmosphere work for you, or did you also feel like this movie left a lot on the table? Let me know, and follow for more movie reviews.